What's up guys, Mcdoubles back here with a brand new video, and today I want to give you guys my Season 8 How to Play Project Ascension guide. A lot of people want to come back to Ascension, or they're literally brand new still, and they're like, how do I play? What's going down? Well, I have some old guides. Those are still relevant. I will link them in the description below, but I'm going to give you guys a Season 8 updated guide where we go over all of the new changes in Season 8 that are big and relevant, like Worldforged Enchants or Masteries in that system, right? While also giving you guys a quick rundown on what PA even is, what's going down, what are the two servers all about, and how do I even play. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's jump right in. Okay guys, so in this guide, what I want to do is talk about Project Ascension right now in Season 8. I want to tell you guys how to play, but we're going to be starting off right now with a very simple, what is Project Ascension? So, Project Ascension is what they call Classless World of Warcraft, where you take all of your abilities from World of Warcraft across different expansions, and you mix and match them with brand new thematic enchants, known as REs, to create your own playstyle or class. Now, Ascension currently runs off a season-based system, in which a new fresh server is created with brand new changes to the meta, and the fundamentals of the game, and how it is played. Ascension is currently in Season 8, as of October 28th, 2022, and is currently taking place in the original vanilla world. Currently, Project Ascension has two main servers, Thrall, the brand new Season 8 draft-based server, and Area 52, the mainstay server, where all previous seasonal servers merge into. It runs the free pick rule set, meaning you can pick any ability you want for your character, and the server is older, so it comes with its own slew of pros and cons, and that leads me to, what's the difference between the two servers? Well, the seasonal servers, in this case Thrall, almost always have a far larger player base with more changes and experimentation, and also always feature a different rule set from the Area 52 realm, such as wildcard mode from previous seasons or the current draft mode, as it has been in the recent seasons starting way back in Season 4. The Area 52 server is the server where all characters from previous seasons are transferred to once a season ends, and as a result the server is very mature, with lots of gold, highly geared players with perfect builds, and is currently in the TBC expansion, where I believe Zul'Aman just came out. This server, while old, is incredibly good for new players who have limited knowledge of World of Warcraft abilities, especially since many on Ascension have been altered, as they can go to test everything before working up the courage to hop on the fresh server and see if they have what it takes to draft and grind for an exceptional build with a lower power level than what you would normally see on Area 52. With that being said, this guide is going to focus on the Season 8 realm, as that is the newest addition to Project Ascension, and I also have previous guides that go over more of the basics in that regard, so make sure to check out those guides if you feel like you need more information after watching this video. Now, Season 8 is what they call Unleashed, and it is a brand new take on Project Ascension's draft mode. They gave us a fresh server to level the playing field, added hundreds of new enchants for players to experiment with, and revamped vanilla dungeons and encounters with brand new mechanics. So let's begin with Project Ascension server basics. First of all, Project Ascension has a cross-faction system where anyone from any faction can group and play together, with the only exception being that guilds are still faction locked. You level incredibly fast on Project Ascension, and the current meta has people leveling from 1 to 60 in less than an hour of time under the right circumstances, with the right build, with the right strategy, while newer casual players who choose to go their own way can still expect to reach max in 3 to 4 hours time if they're diligent. There are a bunch of game modes on Project Ascension that you could choose to play outside of the normal playstyle as well, such as Nightmare mode or Iron Man mode or Survivalist mode. I don't want to go into too much detail. Previous guides do go into detail on this, but they give you new ways to play and rewards for choosing to play that way. So let's say you created your character. Now you're in the world, right? You're in a starter zone, and you start at level 1 with the ability to roll 4 regular abilities or 1 creature tame ability and 1 regular ability. Now, creature taming abilities can only be obtained at level 1, so choose wisely, because if you want a tamed elemental, a tamed dragon, a tamed beast like hunters have, or any other tamed demon or even undead, you have to pick this at level 1 if you want it as a part of your build. Now, this brings me to a way that you can make your first 4 abilities easier to obtain and possibly give you a better start, and that would be the acquisition of a dealer's draft deck. This can be obtained off the auction house from other players, and you can use it to pick any 4 abilities you want. Otherwise, you must randomize the 4 abilities using the spell draft deck that you begin the game with. I'm not gonna lie, this is also something sold off the in-game shop, although I don't like to be somebody that is a a advertisement for that, basically. And because of that, I try to give this type of stuff away for free on my videos at the end, right? So that you guys can acquire this stuff without spending real life money or having to grind for a lot of gold, but that is how you acquire it. It's a big quality of life advantage, and it will save you time that you would have otherwise spent in the starting zone randomizing your abilities for maybe an hour or two until you get something that suits you. After you've selected your starter abilities, though, you will receive your first draft at level 10, and then every 2 levels after until you reach level 60. Now, a draft consists of 3 random abilities of different rarities, including commons, uncommons, rares, epics, and legendaries, and you can only receive abilities in your draft that are level appropriate for you. So, for example, you will not see Divine Storm, which is a level 60 ability, in your draft if you're only level 32. Something to keep in mind is that you can only have so many of each of these types of rarities, and also, as you would suspect, you get less of certain types of things just naturally in your draft. So you will see fewer legendaries on average, and you can only have, I believe, up to 3. Their epic, rare, and uncommon slots are a little bit more ambiguous, and previous seasons there have been set numbers of how many you can have. Sometimes there are just soft caps. I would say a pretty decent place to put yourself would be like 6 epics, 8 rares, probably 8-ish uncommons, and an unlimited amount, as I said, of normal abilities. But like I said, that's kind of tumultuous, so take that part with a grain of salt. The point is, as you pick more abilities from a certain rarity, you will receive less abilities of that rarity in your draft, so choose wisely. Now, as you level, you will receive something called Hands of Fate, starting at level 10, and you will receive more of them at levels 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60, with the option to purchase more for an in-game currency known as Marks of Ascension at max level. These Hands of Fate are acquired by talking to Silas Darkmoon, either at a capital city or somebody might have a pet version of them, and then you can actually just keep clicking the button now with the brand new interface in Season 8 to acquire your Hand of Fate. 1 for level 10, 2 for level 20, 3 for 30, etc., etc. Hands of Fate allow you to draft new abilities at any level that you choose to use them. Meaning, if you choose to save your Hands of Fate until after you reach level 40, let's say, you could theoretically hone in on abilities that are only obtainable at level 40 and below, such as Mortal Strike, making strategy big in how you use your Hands of Fate. In other words, how you play with this could potentially alter your luck. Marks of Ascension are acquired through daily quests at max level and by prestiging your character. And that's the basic gist of that. Now, this brings me to the prestige system. This system allows you to take a max level character and restart it at level 1, allowing you to keep everything your character has except for the abilities that you rolled, and allowing you to progress your main through the world once again from levels 1 to 60. You might be asking yourself, why would I want to start again at level 1 and get rid of my build? Well, if you do this, you will be able to roll new abilities, and hopefully you will get an even better build. You can also keep saving up your Marks of Ascension. Save them up so that now at level 60, you can have maybe 40,000 of them, spend them all on Hands of Fate, and go for maybe 100 rolls at max, hoping that that's enough rolls to give you exactly what you want. You can also purchase multiple specs, with the first one being available for honor or purchasable off the AH from other players, and you can prestige those separate specs, allowing you to run multiple builds on the same character. Now, the prestige system is a big thing right now on Ascension, because in order to make a good build, the game often forces you to prestige repeatedly in the hopes that you will get lucky and get the abilities you want. For example, I had a particularly nasty one recently where I did 22 at least, could be more, but 22 runs on my guy trying to get a proper build for Gurubashi Berserker. I wasn't even trying to get the best thing in the world. I just needed to get the basics to make the build work, and it took 22 tries. Now, it's not all like that. I made a pirate build on the very first try, and it was perfect. So sometimes some builds are easier to acquire than others, but this is constantly being worked on. I'm often an advocate for reducing the, really nasty grinds and the really badly imbalanced things and making them better, and that's what I try to talk about in my videos so that we can get some changes in that regard. So hopefully you won't have to go through the grinds that I go through. But anyway, back to this idea of the prestige system. In order to make this grind easier while you're prestiging, you can obtain sealed and golden sealed cards at max level. These are packs of cards that are acquired using Marks of Ascension for sealed cards, or 50G a pack for golden sealed cards, and can be acquired by talking once again to Silas Darkmoon in your faction's capital city. Now, when you open these packs of cards, you will get abilities that you can use when you prestige or create an alt. These cards are account bound and can be used on every character you make. You can slot 3 legendary gems, 5 epic gems, and 6 rare gems, and I'm assuming an unlimited amount of uncommon and common gems in your skill card interface, and when you reach the level required for that ability, it will automatically appear in your draft for you to acquire. So as a quick example, if you end up getting lucky and you get the Mortal Strike card, you can use that at level 1 on your character, and upon reaching level 40, you will automatically get Mortal Strike offered to you in your draft, and then you can pick it, and boom, that's really great, right? Now you can make your Rend OP Mortal Strike build, a Demolisher build, whatever, maybe even heavyweight. Now, as you're opening these sealed card packs, you will also receive lucky card variants, which are essentially dog shit versions of normal skill cards. They only give you a higher chance to roll the lucky carded ability rather than a guaranteed chance. It's better than nothing though, so I highly suggest that even though it can be frustrating sometimes, that you do not ignore the lucky cards. Now, utilizing these systems intelligently will help you create a build that is fun and thematic for you, but also strong. Another thing that's going to make you strong is actually utilizing another very important aspect of Project Ascension that is known as the Mystic Enchant or Random Enchant system. You may hear this referred to as REs because that was the original name for it, as they were random enchants. That's what RE means, random enchant. Random enchants that you acquired out in the world, or if you're a hipster or hipster adjacent, let's say, you may hear it referred to now as MEs, even though that just doesn't roll off the tongue as well, and it's really cringe to be real. But RE is what you're going to hear the most. Now, these are not at all like regular enchants that an enchanter in the game will be creating, nor do they replace them. They are separate enchants found on pieces of gear all throughout the world that you can extract, add to your character in a realm-based way so that every character can now use them once you extract them. And then you can put them on your pieces of gear and actually utilize them in ways that fundamentally change the way your character plays. Now, players can use 1 legendary enchant, 3 epic enchants, and any amount of rares and uncommon enchants that they want. Builds in Ascension are often built on the backs of the legendary and epic enchants that you choose, with rare and uncommon enchants often being used to supplement your legendary and epics with increased damage and scaling, maybe hit or expertise rating, or reduce cooldowns to your rotational abilities or key spells. A good rule of thumb when creating a character is to open up your enchant collection, which will probably be empty at first, obviously, and scroll through all of the enchants regardless until you find one that sparks joy. And then attempt to build something that fits the description of that enchant, but don't be afraid to just jump in and see what happens too. That's just my advice. So currently, as of the release of this video, Season 8 is in the vanilla content, or expansion you could say, up to the release of ZG, with Mythic Vanilla Dungeons and MC and Oni coming up very, very soon. The timeline for the season can be found in the description below. And when you hit max level, your goal, by the way, is going to be to either prestige until you receive a better build, use your Hands of Fate to re-roll into a few key abilities that you maybe were missing while leveling, or just start playing your character, which you've decided you're happy with, and begin that traditional WoW grind for gear and for clout. So that's a quick rundown, my friends, but let's focus on some Season 8 specific changes real quick. Firstly, Worldforged Enchants. Now, Worldforged Enchants are the same thing as regular REs, except they are not tradable, and they are only obtainable out in the open world or in chests, dungeons, off bosses. You might find a book on the table and you click on it and it gives you something, or even through obscure events, such as this one in Pyrewood Village that requires you to stand next to this ominous red orb and wait until you receive the Curse of Aragorn enchant, an enchant that allows you to turn into a worgen and gives you the ability to combine Shadow Priest and Feral Druid abilities into one cohesive spec. So once you find them and extract them, you can use them on any character, but they are not tradable, as I said, which is a big difference between them and the regular REs. New ones are being added every day, by the way. Some are still unknown. Information about them can often be dicey at best, and some of them also require grinds that might make you rethink playing this game, such as my 16-hour Serpent Form grind, which, by the way, was recently made easier to obtain, lucky for you. Now, you can find links in the description of my Discord where we post the location of these new enchants. I got like 10k people in there right now, and I also have links to other Discords in the community where we have more refined information on locations as well. That's a little less messy with less commentary if you prefer something like that. Now, with Season 8, hundreds of these new enchants have been added to the game. I'm constantly making videos trying to find these, show you where I found them, and make builds with them, and players are currently still in the process of figuring out what the best builds will be with these new enchants. There are also spell masteries now, which are groups of similar abilities such as auras or paladin seals or even totems that you can choose if you think you would like to use more than one. This is pivotal actually for 2 reasons. Number 1, when you choose a mastery and your first ability that's associated with it, such as choosing Earth Totem Mastery and picking Strength of the Earth Totem, you can now choose any other Earth Totem in the mastery for free with no rarity penalty. So that means if you pick another rare totem after getting Strength of the Earth Totem, it's not going to lower your chance to see more rares in your draft. This gives you a higher chance to see abilities with that rarity than you would have had if you chose multiple earth totems in previous seasons. Number 2, though, it allows you to hone in and curate your build more. For example, my community let me know that if I pick Stance Mastery at level 1 and pick the ability Battle Stance, which sucked ass for my build, that with Berserker Stance as my lucky card, I will now be nearly guaranteed that ability in my draft. Listen, I was skeptical, but lo and behold, I received it as an option 2 out of 3 times with that combination. And before that, I only saw Berserker Stance 2 out of 18 times. So that's a big difference. It could be confirmation bias, it could be just me, but that's what I saw, so currently I'm running with it as an idea. If you can do something like that with the mastery system to curate your RNG, take advantage of it. Now, Season 8 also gave us dual spec, theoretically, right, for each of our abilities, and they are known as talent loadouts. Previously, you could have multiple specs, but every spec was a different drafted build. Now, you can have multiple talent specs for each of your drafted builds. Of course, this once again requires you to go on the in-game shop or the auction house to acquire the stuff for that. Now, Season 8 also came with the release of the card swap system, a system in which after your draft, you have a chance to swap an ability of equal rarity, which you currently have, for a new card that the game offers you. Admittedly, this is hit or miss. Sometimes it's perfect, and other times it's absolutely useless. It's all RNG. I've heard from some people that casters have it a little bit better with the card swap system than melee, but that could be anecdotal experience. Some people say the strategy is to make sure you always have a couple rares, a couple epics, and even a couple legendaries that you don't even care about if you have to, just so you can get a card swap for something better later on. While some people are saying that maybe we should still do it the way we used to do it because the card swap system is so hit or miss, and you just save not picking anything until you actually need it, so that you don't actually dilute your draft too much by having like 5 rares, even though 3 of them are bad, and you're just hoping they get card swapped, right? So that's up to you. People are still figuring it out. We also received new difficulties in Season 8 for raids. We have Mythic raids in Season 8, giving us the following difficulties total for raids: Normal, Heroic, Mythic, and Ascended. Now, Mythic and Ascended raids have increasingly difficult mechanics that people must follow in order to complete them, and better gear to boot. These are going to be the ones that people who are really extroverted and like being in a guild, like being a part of that kind of community, are going to have to do together, because it's going to require coordination. And I've heard from people who do the Ascended difficulty that sometimes when content was new and they were all figuring stuff out from scratch, that it would often take maybe 17 hours to beat one boss, right? Now, with that being said, normal and heroic raids are easily puggable. You see them in World and Ascension chat constantly, and they're not actually that hard to do. On the subject of raids, though, we now have boss binding in Season 8, which means you will be locked to specific raid bosses that you kill and receive loot from, rather than being locked to the entire instance upon killing a boss. This means if you have to dip out of a pug on the 4th boss, you can group up with another pug tomorrow and kill the 5th, 6th, and 7th boss and still receive loot. Now, that's pretty great, but there are also some minor changes to Season 8, such as the new tab targeting interface, where you can change how your tab target works in the options. That's basically because of me. The idea of a chapter system, in which we are currently in Chapter 1, I believe, and new chapters will come with huge updates to the game, so you can expect that, and the addition of realm-wide achievements and reputations for awesome quality of life. I'll put a link in the description below where you can see all of the updates for Season 8, and you can read through it yourself. Now, there's also the high-risk system, which was a bigger deal admittedly in previous seasons, but still received big updates in Season 8. These include tier zones, broken up into tier 1, 2, and 3, with every tier forcing you to drop more of your loot and gear, but also rewarding you with increasingly powerful items that can be found in the world as you farm mobs and battle other players. Now, my favorite one, honorable combat zones in the vanilla world. This means that in zones such as Winter Spring, you will only be able to engage in 1v1 fights, and so it won't be unfair unless the guy has a broken build. But hey, that's a whole different story, my friends. A 1v1's at least a great start. And there's also new material events where you can group up to fight for powerful materials that are put strategically out in the high-risk world, and these events also have massively increased loot drop rates, so you can make some money. There's a whole host of things that have been in the game before that I won't necessarily go over, such as monster nests, or finding chests and using engineering and blacksmithing keys to open those chests for high-risk loot, but that's all out there for you to explore. Once again, link in the description below for more info on that. Alright guys, so just a couple more things. Number 1, they added Worldforged Keys to Project Ascension. This is a brand new way for you to collect Worldforged Enchants in the game. Now, as far as I can tell, you collect the pieces of the key from random events all around the world. What do I mean by that? Questing, dungeons, daily quests. You can even spend 10k honor for 1/5 of the key, and then of course combine 5 and bam, you get the key. I have an example right here of me using a key and where. This is how I got the Mayhem enchant. Lastly guys, we have the add-ons and mods. Make sure you go there and you get basically all the ones you can find on my Discord. I have some examples being being maybe X-Pearl. I would say maybe just get ElvUI if you prefer that. WeakAuras, though, you definitely want that. And speaking of WeakAuras, let me quickly show you guys how to make WeakAuras, just the super simple ones, because you're going to have plenty of spells and interesting effects on this game, but there are no inherent ways to show those procs and stuff like that built in, because you're not playing a class. There is no theme in that regard. You create your theme. So what you want to do is download WeakAuras, type /WeakAuras in the chat. That's going to bring up where we're already at right now, and then you go up here on the top left to new aura. Now you can make it a hell of a lot more organized than me by creating groups of, you have like, let's say 3 or 4 of these different things that you create for one specific playstyle. You create a group, and you can then drag everything into that group that you want it to be a part of. Boom. See, so I have 2 random things I'll have to, delete later. But you see what I'm trying to say. Now, otherwise, if you're lazy, you create like a quadrillion of these, and you just pick either an icon or perhaps a progress bar, or maybe even a texture if you want to show it like that. Now, the one I want to focus on is icon, okay? All of these are created the same way, they just look different. So, the icon. This is something that people would create for a glow effect. So for example, if you want this little thing to appear over one of your icons when it's time for that icon to be pressed. Let's say you have a proc. So in my case, let's pretend I was making one for, oh, I don't know, the brain freeze effect fireball proc, right? So I would type in exactly what that aura is called. If it doesn't work, you're going to want the spell ID. That's also something you can get from the Ascension client right here, ID tip. That's what you would have to get for that. And then it shows all the spell IDs in the description of whatever you're talking about. So you have it. What you then want to do is go back to display, okay? You want to go over here to icon source, put it on fallback icon. This is the most basic way to do it. Somebody that's a better version of me could probably tell you a better way. Once it's done lagging for a hot second though, you click on the icon of the spell that you're actually proccing, in this case fireball. Click OK. Now it'll always show up like this exactly right here whenever fireball procs. You then simply bring it down and you just align it with the box of wherever the keybind is for your fireball. Based on your OCD, it'll look better or worse. You stick it where it has to go, and boom, every time it procs, you're gonna have a little fireball right there that's glowing and ready to go. That's literally as simple as it possibly gets, and you could do more. You can make it fancier, but that's the easy way to do it, okay? Lastly, guys, I do want to say mine might not be the best in the world, but I will share it with you anyway. If you want my ElvUI profile so that you can just open your ElvUI, go to profiles and go to import profile, all you need to do is go to the link in the description below, and I will have my actual exported profile, the text version, probably some other versions, and you can copy and paste that, and boom, you have it. So what can I say, guys? It's really not that deep, if I'm honest with you. After you do the whole building and stuff, that's the main part of the game, is making your character, building your guy, getting something you like. You reach 60, you can go to the call board right here. You can find a whole slew of daily quests, PvE, PvP, profession, miscellaneous quests, high risk only quests, and you can do those, acquire call board cash loot, which I can show you right now. You kill some guys, do some dungeons, whatever, and then you get some loot for it, marks of Ascension as well, which I talked about. And or you can also go to your dungeon finder and queue for heroics or normal dungeons, and soon mythic dungeons and mythic plus will come out as well, where you can get more loot and hone your build and play your build, which is a whole lot of fun. Otherwise, you're going to be looking in chat for things like this: City Siege, Battle for Darnassus, right? A PvP one that gives you a lot of marks. You might see people advertising for raids at the beginning of resets, let's just say, and that's what you would want to join and pug. Or you could find a guild. Currently, if you want, you can join my guild. I made a guild for Season 8. It's a community guild, but it has, let's see, 1,700 people in it right now. So you do what makes you happy. But anyway, guys, that's the Season 8 guide. I think that it gets everything out of the way that needs to be said. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Mcdoubles out.